On my wedding day, my husband's younger sister showed up wearing a wedding dress. Out of respect for the occasion, I kindly asked her to change her outfit, but instead of appreciating my request, she yelled, "You can't make me wear ugly clothes just because I'm prettier than you, can you?" My husband nodded in agreement. "Ivy looks really good in this. Don't be so petty. We've got the marriage certificate, and you've received the dowry. What else are you worried about?" With that, he smiled and pulled Ivy out, leaving me alone in the room. I looked at the wedding dress in front of me and felt completely disheartened. Since there's already a bride, I won't be getting married. 1. The wedding car, seeing Ivy and Foster get in, thought she was the bride and sped off. My mom was stunned. What the heck is Foster doing? He just left the bride and ran away. My dad was furious and picked up his phone to call him. That little bastard. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. I stopped them looking tired. Since they want to get married to someone else, it's none of our business. Let's go to sleep. Then I asked the makeup artist to remove my makeup. She was obviously taken aback, as she'd never encountered such a situation before. Since things happened so suddenly, and our relatives had already arrived at the venue, my parents could only say it was just a family gathering. Before I could go to sleep, Foster called me. "Jocasta, where are you? Today is our wedding day. Why are you playing these games?" I could hear the anger in his voice. I yawned and replied calmly, "What wedding? Didn't you take the bride away? I'm going to sleep. Don't disturb me." I hung up the phone and started scrolling through TikTok. To my surprise, I found Ivy's live stream. She was crying and saying, "Because I'm prettier than the bride, she's so jealous she refused to come to the wedding, and I'm being bullied by her relatives." I was baffled. She was only showing her head in the video, without any context. Netizens were flooding the comments with insults. "Oh my God, how insecure can this bride be? Can't stand anyone prettier than her? The bride must be a pig. Don't be sad, sister. You're prettier than her. She should be the one feeling bad." A hint of pride flashed in Ivy's eyes. I took a photo I'd taken earlier and posted it in the comments saying, "Is this the dress you wore to someone else's wedding, sister?" Ivy's face turned pale, and she frantically tried to end the live stream. But the netizens were too quick. They filled her comments with messages like, "Oh my God, I thought the bride was insecure, but it was actually her. If I were the bride's family, I would have beaten her up. She's the real pig here." My phone was flooded with messages from Foster's family. They were begging me to take him back. When I ignored them, they started pleading. "Wife, I was wrong. I shouldn't have left you. Can you please reply?" Ivy knows she was wrong too. I've already scolded her. "Can you just come to the hotel and settle the bill?" 2. The bill? Are you kidding me? I was almost laughing. He had the audacity to ask me to pay for the wedding he attended with another woman? When I didn't respond, Foster called an hour later using my uncle's phone. "Jocasta, can't you be reasonable? My manager is here with all our relatives, and they're making fun of me. Are you happy now? Don't forget we're married. We sink or swim together. You better come over and pay the bill, or else our relatives will laugh at me." Foster sounded so entitled, as if I would rush to pay the bill just to save face. But I'm not like him. I don't care that much. Foster and I met through an arranged marriage. 3 years ago, his father passed away after a long illness. During that time, Foster worked 3 jobs without complaining. My parents thought he was a kind and filial son, so they didn't mind that his family was poor. But I never expected him to ask me to pay for the wedding. Why should I pay if I didn't even eat at the wedding? And the bride didn't even show up. What kind of wedding is that? "Foster, I've already paid 60% of the bill. You figure out the rest." I hung up the phone and turned on Do Not Disturb. Someone sent a message to my parents, saying that Foster was causing a scene and demanding that I come over to pay the bill, because so many of my relatives were there. My dad was so angry, he almost smashed the table. That Foster seemed like a decent guy. How could he do something so shameless? Doesn't he know how many people are at his wedding? "Son, tell everyone there to leave. We don't need to care about them. We've already paid 60% of the bill. We don't owe them anything." After hanging up the phone, my dad was so angry he wanted to go to Foster's house to confront him. My mom tried to calm him down. Dad, it's a good thing we found out now. Imagine if you found out after I was pregnant with his child. I leaned back on the sofa and said calmly, I'm getting a divorce. Okay, my dad said. I'll call someone to help you with the paperwork. My parents had chosen Foster because they thought he was responsible and would take care of me when they were gone. That's why they didn't ask for a dowry and even bought us a house and a car. But now that Foster had done something like this on our wedding day, what else could I expect from him? I called 2 cleaning ladies to throw all of Foster's stuff out, I said. Since we're getting a divorce, he should move out. 3. What are you doing? Who told you to touch anything? Foster and Ivy returned just as the cleaners were taking the last bag out the door. Jocasta, is this really necessary? Just because Ivy wore a red dress, you're kicking me out? Do you know how embarrassing this is for me in front of my relatives? If Ivy hadn't used her credit card, I'd still be stuck there. You're my wife, aren't you? You should at least consider my feelings. Foster was very emotional and started scolding me as soon as he saw me. I ignored him and calmly paid the cleaners, asking them to take out the trash. I didn't look at him once. When I was about to close the door, Foster blocked my way. Did you even hear what I said? What Ivy did was wrong, but aren't you at fault too? I'm your husband after all. You should at least consider my reputation. Jocasta, couples should forget their differences. You can't keep Foster out. And Ivy has already apologized for her mistake, so don't be angry with Foster anymore. I looked at the 2 of them, speechless. How could they not realize how wrong they were when they were live streaming at the wedding? I looked at Foster, who was blocking the door, and kicked him in the groin. I took advantage of his pain to close the door and lock it from the inside. As expected, I could hear Foster yelling outside. I went to the side and turned on the security camera. Outside, Foster and Ivy were arguing while packing their things. After a while, Ivy leaned in and whispered, Foster, why don't you kneel down and apologize to her? If you get her pregnant, you can control her. Foster snorted, she's lucky to have me. They hugged each other. Watching from the monitor, I was shocked. So Foster was using me to make money, and he wanted me to get pregnant. In my dreams, I recorded the video and sent it to my parents. I thought I just needed to get a divorce, but then the police called and said I was being accused of demanding a high dowry. I was stunned. A high dowry? The 66,000 yuan Foster gave me? I hadn't even let him pay for the house or the car. So how was 66,000 yuan considered a high dowry? Ma'am, your husband wrote a letter and is kneeling outside the government building. We have no choice but to ask you to come. Okay, I replied. When I got to the police station, Foster and his mother were there. Jocasta, that money was a loan. We can't afford to pay it back now. His mother started to cry, and Foster glared at me, as if I was the evil one. 660,000, I'll give it back to you, I said. I was about to get a divorce anyway, so giving them the money back wouldn't be a loss. Foster seemed surprised that I agreed so easily, but when he looked at his mother, he hesitated. Jocasta, shouldn't it be 288,000? You can't just reduce it, because we were only married for a week. 4. I was stunned. 288,000 was indeed the dowry my family had originally agreed upon. But the Foster family hadn't paid it. Foster, are you shameless? Don't you know how much your family actually gave? Then didn't your family ask for that much dowry? You should return whatever you asked for initially. Listening to Foster's illogical but confident words, my mind went blank, and I looked at the police officers beside me, who were also wide-eyed. Seeing that we weren't speaking, Foster's mother raised her leg, as if she was going to crash into the police station. I can't live anymore. Old man, let's go with you. Mom, don't do this. The police will definitely help us get the 290,000 back. Great. It had increased by another 2,000 in a minute. Then let's sue. Divorce and division of property. I won't stop you from being with Ivy either, I said calmly. As soon as I said that, Foster's mother stopped trying to kill herself. Foster looked at me incredulously. Who said we're getting a divorce? I just need you to return the dowry. Besides, we're married. So how can we be so clear about what's yours and what's mine? Hearing this, I suddenly understood why Foster didn't talk to me privately, but came to the police station. That money was given to me before we got the marriage certificate, and he had even written a voluntary gift deed to prove his love for me to my father at that time. I guess he also thought it was unreasonable, so he came here specially. As we were talking, my father arrived at the police station with a lawyer. Of course, we need to be clear about the divorce. I've brought my lawyer, and we'll settle things here at the police station today. My father sat down beside me with the lawyer. Foster changed his expression when he saw my father and said with a grin, "Dad, I didn't expect a divorce. Jocasta and I were just playing around." Foster's mother muttered, "A second marriage woman isn't worth much." My father snorted coldly, "You don't need to worry about that. Elliot, calculate for them how much money each family needs to return after the divorce. As for you, Foster, I used my connections to find you that job. Now that the favor is over, whether you get fired or not is your own business." Seeing that things were getting bigger and bigger, and the divorce agreement had been drafted, Foster panicked. He didn't seem to expect things to turn out this way, and Foster's voice was unsteady when he spoke again. "Dad, don't joke. Jocasta, quickly say something for me. Look, if there's no problem, just sign it." I didn't bother to argue with him and pointed at the document. Foster looked at the divorce agreement he was about to receive and was silent for 2 seconds before suddenly smiling. "Father-in-law, since things have come to this, I won't hide it anymore. To be honest, your daughter is infected with AIDS, and after we divorce, she will be alone for the rest of her life." 5. What did you say? My dad suddenly stood up, walked over to me, and lifted my sleeve to check for any bumps or anything. My mind went blank, and I stared intently at my skin. Nothing. My dad looked at both my arms, then checked my neck, and after making sure there was nothing, he took a half breath and turned back to ask Foster what was going on. Foster sat in the chair like a big shot, looking as if it had nothing to do with him. Foster's mother was even more arrogant, yelling, "No wonder the dowry was so high. So you have AIDS and you're afraid your husband's family will divorce you. My son has suffered a great loss. Add more money. 800,000, not 1 cent less, or we'll get divorced immediately." What kind of person is my son? There are so many people who would be honored to marry into our foster family. Ivy is so good. I don't know how she managed to marry someone with AIDS into our family. Foster's mother said more and more nasty things, and my dad immediately started arguing with her. Seeing my dad step forward, Foster's mother immediately started crying and shouting, hugging the police, and saying that her father with AIDS had spoken to her. She felt like she was going to be infected and asked my dad to take responsibility for her for the rest of her life. The scene suddenly became chaotic, and the police stood aside, their brows furrowed deeper and deeper. At this time, I watched Foster slowly calm down. This disease is transmitted under certain conditions. I haven't had sex, nor have I been injured and come into contact with anything. In theory, I shouldn't be infected. If I had to contact an outsider, the only person I usually contacted was Foster. Knowing Foster as I did, if he were sick, he wouldn't be so relaxed. So Foster was probably lying. "Dad, don't get excited. Infection requires conditions." "Foster, since you say I'm infected with AIDS, where's the evidence?" 5 days ago, you and an AIDS patient used the same cup. 5 days ago. While my dad and I were thinking, Foster continued, "I met an old friend that day and invited him to my house for a drink. Who would have thought that I would accidentally take your cup by mistake? And, coincidentally, he had a bleeding gum that day." "But," Foster assured the police, "I just found out he has AIDS." I had already accepted that my wife had AIDS and was ready to spend the rest of my life with her. I never thought. My dad ignored Foster's sarcasm and nervously looked at me, asking me if I had drunk any water that day. After thinking about the scene that day, I slowly nodded. Not only did I drink that day, but I drank 2 cups. I remembered how enthusiastic Foster was that day, urging me to try the tea he had made. After recalling everything clearly, my head buzzed, and the heat in my whole body exploded instantly, causing me to tremble uncontrollably. Am I infected? 6. The sudden change made me think about a lot of things: life, parents, death. I lost all sense of my surroundings for a moment. Honey, don't be afraid. I love you, and I don't mind if you're sick. Really, we can totally get lost. Jocasta, let's go. Dad will take you to the hospital. You can't go. You haven't paid yet. Foster's mother seemed to notice my condition wasn't right and thought it was a good time to extort money. She rolled and crawled, blocking the door. 288,000, not 1 cent less. Anyway, it's your daughter who's sick. If you don't give me the money, let's see who can outlast who. Every minute you delay, her cure rate decreases by 1 point. My dad was so angry that he immediately took out his phone to transfer the money to Foster's mother first. If you had done this earlier, it would have been fine. This is the police station. If you continue to make trouble, we can detain you. The moment Foster's mother opened her payment code, the police stepped forward and pulled her away. And my dad took the opportunity to take me away. The heater in the car was turned up high, so much so that there was a layer of fog on the windows. But I was very cold, and my mind was empty as I stared out the window, not knowing what to think. My father suddenly started honking continuously, and the piercing sound instantly brought my thoughts back. My father was a very steady driver. This was the first time in my memory that he had honked like this. Seeing his anxious look, I suddenly realized something. My confusion dissipated, replaced by extreme calmness. Dad, don't rush. Take your time, I said calmly, and even had the leisure to open Ivy and Foster's social media. Ivy's social media was just updated a minute ago. Caption: My boyfriend loves me so much that even if he has to marry a wealthy woman who is spoiled and has AIDS, he will give me the best. The picture is of Van Cleef and Arpels 4-leaf clover bracelet. And Foster posted a message saying that I had AIDS and asked everyone what he should do as a husband. I and Foster have a few mutual friends, such as my best friend. As soon as my best friend saw the social media, she sent me a series of voice messages asking what was going on. Is Foster lying? You don't even have sex. How could you be infected? He deliberately made me drink water with the infected person's blood. When I said this, I was calmer than I thought. The other side fell silent, and I said goodbye and hung up. Then took my dad's phone and called Elliot, the lawyer, asking him to do whatever it took to divorce Foster. Things have come to this, and I have to consider my parents. The money they saved so hard cannot be cheapened by Foster. Dad, you know I've always had a weak immune system and high drug resistance. If I'm really diagnosed and die early, then you and Mom. Bah. What are you talking about? The virus can't live outside the human body. You'll be fine. Dad is here. You'll be fine. My dad honked while his eyes turned red. I responded and turned my head, asking him to drive slower. We're not in a hurry. 7. At the hospital, my dad got out of the car immediately and registered. Doctor, how is my daughter? Positive or negative? Should I get a blocking shot? The specific results won't be available until tomorrow morning. There is a time limit for the blocking shot, and it's been too long for her. But based on your description, there is a 99% chance that she is fine. Then the doctor explained to us why. He said that the virus becomes inactive 3 minutes after leaving the body, and according to my description of the time, it had passed that point. Moreover, the water I drank at that time could no longer show the color of blood, and the infection dose could not be reached. Hearing this, my dad immediately breathed a sigh of relief and smiled in relief. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. Afraid that something else might happen to me, my dad simply had me hospitalized directly. Jocasta, all the procedures are done. Dad is going to see if there's anything good to eat. Remember to call your boss and ask for leave. Okay. Sitting on the hospital bed, recalling what the doctor had just said, I smiled too. How nice. After changing my clothes and turning on my phone, I was just about to tell my best friend the good news when Ivy walked in. What are you doing here? How else can I get evidence to ask for money if I don't follow you? Ivy didn't care about the eyes of the patients' families nearby and walked directly in front of me, opening her photo album with the hand shaking her bracelet. Jocasta. Oh, Jocasta. What's the use of being born so well? Isn't it different now that money can't be kept and life can't be saved? I remember those medicines were all liver damaging. How many years can your liver last? At this point, Ivy showed me the photo, and in it was my figure when I was just seeing the doctor. I didn't understand, and as soon as I moved, she immediately put the phone away. I've made a backup, so it's useless if you delete it. 2 million. Jocasta, you don't want your reputation to be ruined before you die, do you? Office workers and old ladies love gossip the most. If you don't pay, these things can only be widely circulated in your workplace and your neighborhood. I sneered, and she thought she could get 2 million with a few photos. It's illegal to spread other people's information. Ivy, do you dare to bet? Foster's mother doesn't like a woman who has been in jail. Don't scare me. I didn't kill anyone, so why would I go to jail? With that, she showed me the photos again. Are you going to give me the money or not? If you don't, I'll go print it now. Suit yourself. You wait and see. After Ivy left, I opened my phone and sent a message to my best friend, telling her what the doctor said. I thought she would be very happy, but instead she looked serious and forwarded me a video. Then look at this. Foster is now building up a persona as a devoted husband, saying that he will sell everything to treat you. I opened the video link. In the video, Foster was indeed crying and saying how hard he had it, and in the background was my photo. I turned on the recording and recorded all of this, then asked my best friend to pay someone to report Foster's account. Even if this kind of thing is fake, if more people know about it, it can become true. But unfortunately, although the live broadcast was taken down, many people were still moved by Foster, the devoted man, and voluntarily made promotional videos for him. Honey, why aren't you at home? Where are you now? When Foster sent me a voice message, I was with my dad getting the test results. 8. Negative. Seeing these 2 words, my father and I both let out a huge sigh of relief. Great. Don't worry, Jocasta, Dad won't let Foster off. I nodded vigorously. Not only Dad, but I wouldn't let him off either. Although there was no direct evidence, Foster was definitely intentional. He knew from the beginning that the guy had AIDS. Leaving the hospital, my dad and I went our separate ways. Dad went to pick up my mom, who was looking for folk remedies, while I went back to the marital home to see the effects of Ivy's propaganda. As for Foster's messages, I didn't even bother to reply. Ivy did a good job of promoting, and as soon as I got out of the car, I received strange looks from the neighbors. 2 of them, who were good friends of my parents, came over wearing masks and asked me what was going on. I showed them the hospital's test report. Foster cheated, and we're getting a divorce now, so he used this dirty trick to try to get more money. The 2 neighbors looked at the hospital's certificate and breathed a sigh of relief, took off their masks, and began to feel indignant on my behalf. I told you Jocasta couldn't be as messed up as Foster said. I've watched this child grow up. That's right. Jocasta, you wait, I'll tell your grandma, and I won't let the neighbors misunderstand. Thank you, Grandma. As I was about to go upstairs after talking to the neighbors, I suddenly saw a familiar figure, the guy with AIDS that Foster had mentioned. Last night, I had retrieved all the surveillance footage from the apartment, and the face in it was clearly the person in front of me. The last time he came here, Foster brought him here. So what was he doing this time? I stood there and observed for a while, seeing him just circling downstairs without going in. After thinking it over, I maintained a safe distance and asked him if he needed help. He looked me up and down and handed me the bag in his hand. Can you do me a favor? Give this to Foster, the owner of 602. No problem. After I took the bag, he left. And after he left, I quickly went into the building and carefully opened the bag, a white shroud and a piece of paper. Welcome to the world of AIDS. What does this mean? Foster is infected. That person came here on purpose that day to infect Foster? My mind was a little confused, and I turned around to check the surveillance footage of that day. The images changed one by one, and I saw the needle in the hand of Foster's friend when they first shook hands, and Foster's pained expression. After saving the image, I looked at the shroud in my hand, and my eyes filled with joy. Unexpectedly, Foster failed to infect me with AIDS, but he got it himself. 9. Foster called me and asked when I would be home. I listened to the subtle laughter on the phone and said I'd be right there. After hanging up the phone and calling the police, I got up and walked towards the marital home. As expected, the door was pried open. I stood outside, kicked the door, and Ivy inside immediately stood up like a bear that had stolen food and saw new food, startled and excited. Everyone, the main character is back. Click the little red heart. Ivy will take you to see an AIDS patient in the first person. With that, the camera came closer. I watched the number of people jumping, and a smile crossed my lips. Foster, I wonder what your reaction will be when you find out you're infected? What's this? Ivy stared at the bag in my hand. I glanced at it. It was from Foster's friend. Since I was going to give it to Foster anyway, I simply threw it to them. As soon as the bag landed, Ivy opened it immediately. Isn't her husband trying to find a way to prolong her life? Why would she buy this kind of thing? Upstairs, calm down. It's good for society if someone like her dies. I clicked into Ivy's live stream and saw a variety of comments inside, but the atmosphere was still good. But all of this disappeared after Ivy opened the note. No way, this woman is so disgusting. Who wants to join her? She probably wants to take revenge on her husband and the broadcaster. Ivy, run. Ivy was also stunned when she saw the note and looked at Foster helplessly. Foster reacted quickly. Jocasta, I know you're not like this. Don't be afraid. I'll be with you no matter what. I've brought the divorce agreement, sign it. As soon as I finished speaking, the live stream started questioning again. At the same time, I saw my best friend enter the live stream with her water army. Why get a divorce? Jocasta, husband and wife should support each other. You're just a son-in-law. Since you came to my house, your food, clothing, and housing have all been paid for by me. What kind of mutual support are you talking about? Foster's face turned red with embarrassment. Seeing that the situation was not right, Ivy immediately asked me what my plans were. Sister Jocasta, the people in the neighborhood and the company have a lot of opinions about you. I've summed up their demands, and everyone has been hoping that you can leave. As soon as she finished speaking, the assistant, photographer, and atmosphere group, who were filming with Ivy, all raised their hands to resist me staying any longer. Living with you, you might get sick sooner or later. I feel like getting out of here. I have a child at home so young I can't get this thing. I saw you spit yesterday. Who knows if there are any bacteria in it? Everyone was saying something, and they even started pushing me. Ivy looked at me and smiled, immediately pointing the camera at me, waiting for me to lose my temper. Thinking about it carefully, if a person who had just accidentally contracted the disease was treated like this, even if they had a good temper, they would lose control. But I couldn't. The moment all the cameras turned to me, I took the hospital certificate out of my pocket. 10. You guys keep saying I have AIDS, so what does this report say? Besides, when did I ever say this shroud was mine? I looked at Foster, a smile in my eyes. Foster, this suit was given to you by your friend. He also asked me to ask you if your hand still hurts. As for all of you, I looked around at everyone present. You were so close to him just now. Aren't you afraid of being infected? Hearing about the pain in his hand, Foster subconsciously looked at his hand. He didn't look anywhere else, just staring at one point on his right hand. This scene made everyone who had doubts immediately take a step back, afraid that Foster really had the disease. Ivy stared at Foster, and her face turned pale, as if she had thought of something. I knew what she was thinking. Last night, after Ivy left, she specially sent me a few more photos. Brother Foster is really amazing. A box of condoms is not enough for him. He even went to the bathroom again. Do you think I might already have a child in my belly? Jocasta, I remember that illegitimate children also have the right to inherit. I'll thank your family for the money on behalf of my child. So if Foster is infected, Ivy will inevitably escape. Brother Foster. Don't believe her. She just thinks everyone is sick because she is. At this time, the style of the live broadcast has been completely reversed under my best friend's leadership. A large number of replies were asking Foster to get a checkup. Involving his own safety, Ivy didn't stand by him either, and asked him to get one too. Foster wanted to find someone to speak for him, but the people he called were just day laborers who were paid by the day. and they wouldn't risk helping him. Foster dared to bet? If you're not infected, then I'll give you 1 million when we get divorced. Hearing 1 million, Foster suddenly calmed down and looked at me. Really? Of course, so many people are watching. 11. Foster looked at the live stream, and the number of viewers was soaring. Ivy also saw her rapidly increasing number of fans, and was so excited that she kept gesturing for Foster to agree. Okay, it's a deal. As everyone headed to the hospital, the discussion in the live stream was divided into two camps. One side believed that Foster was indeed infected, otherwise I wouldn't bet $1 million. The other side felt that it was just a strategy for me to delay time, and that Foster, as the person involved, couldn't possibly not know he was sick. Since leaving, my focus hasn't been on the live stream. Foster's friend hasn't left, but has been following us. A group of people quickly arrived at the hospital. Jocasta, although I don't want your money, I should teach you a lesson. As a couple, you shouldn't wrong me in front of so many people. I was too lazy to play along with him. Seeing that he didn't get a response, Foster wisely shut up. After the test was done, there was a long wait. Ivy, looking at the six-figure number of viewers, couldn't hide the excitement in her eyes. I'm going to be a big internet celebrity. I sneered. Her heart is really big. It hasn't even been 24 hours yet, and the success rate of the blockage is the highest. Ivy avoided the live stream and walked towards me whispering, Jocasta, you're really my lucky star. Before Brother Foster was with you, I had nothing. Now I have everything: clothes, bags, and jewelry, and I'm going to make a lot of money as an internet celebrity. Then aren't you afraid that when Foster and I get divorced, I'll make you return all these things? You won't, Ivy said very confidently. Girls can't enter the ancestral grave. If you get divorced, you won't even have a place to be buried after you die. I frowned. What kind of nonsense is that? Soon the test results came out. 5 cameras were simultaneously aimed at it, and everyone was waiting quietly for the results. Foster looked very confident. Jocasta, remember to prepare the money. Let's see after it's opened. Okay. With that, Foster turned the report over. Positive. 12. As soon as the word positive came out, there were screams all around, and Ivy was the most panicked. She didn't care about filming anymore, and immediately found a doctor, begging him to save her life. How could this be? Foster looked at the report, almost incredulous. This is impossible. It's you who should be sick. You hired someone, didn't you? Foster's emotions gradually lost control. He wanted to grab someone and ask for an explanation, but everyone around him was avoiding him. I stayed as far away as possible. Just then, Foster's friend came out. Foster, we meet again. In their conversation, I learned the man's name, Dallas. Dallas had had a hard time all these years because he couldn't find a job due to his prosthetic leg. Now that his parents had passed away and no one was taking care of him or buying him medicine, he thought about ending his life. But he was also reluctant to die just like that. So he made a list of all the people who had bullied him before. And Foster was on the list. Foster, you won't have forgotten why my leg was amputated? That was so many years ago. It was just an accident. Foster looked at his positive report, getting angrier and angrier. Just a leg, and you did this to me? Looking at his report, and then at the people around him who were shunning him, Foster was furious and started fighting with Dallas. The people in the live stream were completely dumbfounded, not expecting so many reversals. I can't believe this man actually wanted to hurt his wife on purpose. Fortunately, he was punished. Evil has its own retribution. People like this should be shot. I donated to him when he was live streaming last time. Can I get a refund? By the way, didn't anyone notice the anchor Ivy? Why is she so scared that Foster is confirmed to be infected? Upstairs, isn't that obvious? They're together. I smiled contentedly as I watched the reversal in the live stream. A moment later, my phone rang, and the police asked me for my location. After telling them the location and the news that both of them were infected with AIDS, the fully armed police came and separated Foster from the other man. Not surprisingly, everyone was taken to the police station for questioning. When I came here again, Foster's reaction was completely different from last time. and he seemed particularly vulnerable. Wife, it's a good thing it wasn't you who got sick, wife. You're like this now, and I can force a divorce. Foster, we're completely over. After taking notes, I not only sued Foster but also demanded that he return the money he spent on Ivy. Ivy's live broadcast caused a big sensation, and the news that Foster was diagnosed with AIDS spread widely. That afternoon, he was fired by the company. Jocasta, I asked the lawyer, and Foster deliberately spread infectious diseases and intentionally damaged your privacy. So he's definitely going to jail. Yeah. As I responded to my father, I followed the police to take Ivy back to the police station to make a statement. Ivy was suspected of intentionally damaging other people's privacy, and since she couldn't afford the compensation, she would probably go to jail as well. A month later, Foster was sentenced to 8 years, and Ivy was sentenced to 1 year. On the same day, I also got the divorce certificate from Foster. Wife, will you wait for me, won't you? You should think about Dallas instead. You're the only one he hasn't succeeded with. With that, I left the prison directly. The sun was shining outside, and I would never have anything to do with Foster again.